Hi everyone, if you're just switching to Mac and you have been a long time Windows user, this video will teach you the basics to get started with macOS. I won't go into too much details and I will focus only on the most important things, expanding on topics such as the keyboard shortcuts, the folder structure and cool features in other videos. So let's begin with the keyboard. The first thing you'll notice is two unique keys, Command and Option. Although the Command key is physically in place of the Alt key on Windows keyboards, it mostly functions as an equivalent to the Control key. For example, commands such as copy, paste, and cut are performed with Command C, Command V, and Command X. The Option key is the macOS equivalent of the Alt key on Windows, as it modifies commands and provides additional functions such as accessing alternate characters and special menu options. However, to switch between open programs, you will still use Command Tab and Command Shift Tab, which will feel natural since the physical key placement is the same, making it easier to adapt. The function keys on a Mac by default act as quick actions. F1 and F2 are for decreasing and increasing the brightness. F3 opens the mission control, F4 opens spotlight search, F5 starts dictation, F6 toggles focus mode on and off, F7, 8 and 9 are media buttons respectively for previous track or rewind, play or pause, and next track or fast forward. And F10, 11 and 12 control mute, volume down and volume up. Unlike in Windows, you will rarely need to use these keys as standard function keys, but you can still do this by holding the function key first. However, if you need to use them frequently, you can go to System Settings, Keyboard, Keyboard Shortcuts, Function Keys, and toggle this option to On. By default, the function key also changes the input language if you're using multiple languages. You will notice that there is no delete key. To replicate the same functionality of deleting the character to the right of the cursor, you can use Function and Backspace. Additionally, the tilde key is positioned between the left shift and the Z key, making it easier to reach when typing in other languages. However, if this placement doesn't feel natural to you, you can use a third-party app to remap the key to its original position. The touchpad on a Mac, called the Trackpad, is much larger than those on most Windows laptops and supports multiple gestures. By default, right-clicking is performed with a two-finger click, but you can change this in the settings to clicking in the bottom right corner or the bottom left corner if you prefer. Vertical and horizontal scrolling can be done with two fingers, as well as zooming in and zooming out. By default, natural scrolling is enabled, which means that a downward motion will scroll up and upward motion will scroll down. However, if this doesn't feel natural to you, like it doesn't for me, you can change it in the settings. Keep in mind that this setting also affects scrolling with a mouse wheel if you plan to use an external mouse. Swiping up with three fingers opens Mission Control, which is similar to Windows Task View, and displays all open apps and active desktops. Swiping left or right with three fingers allows you to quickly switch between multiple desktops. Using four fingers or a full hand grabbing motion quickly opens Launchpad, while doing the reverse motion hides all open apps and shows the desktop. The taskbar items such as the system tray and clock that you're used to seeing in the bottom right corner of Windows are located on the top right corner on Mac in a section called the menu bar. There you can find the battery level, Wi-Fi connection status, current language, and other system icons. The equivalent of the Action Center in macOS is called Control Center, which opens when you click the two toggle switches icon. You can also open it using the Function C keyboard shortcut. In the Control Center, you'll find settings for connecting to Wi-Fi networks, Bluetooth devices, and AirDrop, a feature that allows you to transfer files easily between Apple devices. You can also adjust screen brightness and sound, choose which audio device to use, and manage screen mirroring. Additionally, there is a focus mode button that reduces notifications and alerts. Keep in mind that when focus mode is enabled, you might not receive sound notifications when someone messages you in applications like Microsoft Teams, for example. you can drag any of the control center items to the menu bar for quicker access. By holding the command key, you can rearrange the items or remove them by dragging them away from the bar. On the top left side of the screen, you will find classic drop-down menu items such as File, Edit, and View, which is where the name menu bar comes from. You'll notice that the menu items change depending on the app that you have opened. The only exception is the Apple menu, which is located on the far left side of the screen. It functions similarly to the Quick Links menu in Windows opened with Windows X. From this menu, you can check system specifications like memory, serial number, or OS build number. You can also access system settings and shut down or restart the Mac. At the bottom of the screen, you have the dock, which is equivalent to Windows taskbar for applications. You can pin or unpin programs by right-clicking them and selecting Options, Keep in Dock, or Remove from Dock. When you open an app, you'll see 3 Windows control buttons colored like a traffic light: Close, Minimize, and Maximize, similar to Windows. However, there are some key differences. First, they are located on the top left corner instead of the top right. As the date of this video, Apple has not provided an option to move them to the right, so you'll need to get used to this placement. Second, in many cases, the close button does not actually quit the application. It simply closes the window while the app continues running in the background. To fully quit an app, right-click it and select Quit, or use the Command Q shortcut. The Minimize button works as expected, but if you have multiple windows open, such as several browser windows, you won't be able to toggle between minimized and active windows. Instead, you need to go to the menu bar, Window, and select the desired window. The third difference is that the Maximize button switches the app to full screen mode, which hides the dock, the menu bar, and the title bar. When an app goes full screen, a separate virtual desktop is created and you can return to your previous desktop by swiping left. You can quickly exit full screen mode by pressing the Escape key. The File Explorer equivalent on Mac is called Finder, represented by the smiley face icon. By default, it is located on the leftmost side of the dock and is one of the few applications that cannot be quit. Force quitting Finder is similar to killing the Explorer process in Windows, but on macOS it restores automatically. The folder structure is also similar to Windows. You have Computer, then the Macintosh HD drive, equivalent to the C drive in Windows, and inside the User folder you'll find subfolders such as Pictures, Downloads, Desktop, and other personal files. Unlike Windows, macOS does not provide a This PC shortcut in the Finder sidebar. To access it, you need to go to the menu bar, Go, Computer, or use the Command-Shift-C shortcut. To delete files, right-click them and select Move to Trash, or use the Command-Backspace shortcut. To permanently delete files, use Command, Option, and Backspace. Although I strongly advise against doing this, as it can lead to the loss of important data. From my personal experience, I accidentally deleted some footage and was unable to recover it even with highly recommended file recovery apps, so be careful when using this option. Finder does not have a cut option like Windows. To move a file, you need to copy it first and then use Command, Option, and V to paste it in the desired location. The Start menu equivalent on macOS is called Launchpad and is located next to the Finder icon at the bottom. Here you can find all the installed apps in a way similar to mobile phones. Some apps are grouped together in containers, and you can start typing quickly to find specific app you're looking for. You can also search for apps or specific settings using Spotlight, which is macOS equivalent of the Windows search. You can activate Spotlight by clicking the magnifying glass icon next to the control center at the top, or by using CMD and space combination. On newer MacBooks, you can also press F4. Unfortunately, unlike Windows, you cannot type commands directly into Spotlight. To execute commands, you need to open Terminal, which shares the same name as Windows 11's command line tool. Or you can think of it as Mac's command prompt if you prefer. There is no Run as Administrator option, so to execute commands with elevated permissions, you need to use the sudo keyword in front of your command. Then type your password and press enter. The default shell is the Z shell, but you can change that if you prefer other. Since macOS shares some commands with Linux-based systems, Linux user will find it easier to adapt. You can get new software in two main ways. The first is through the App Store, which is the equivalent to the Microsoft Store on Windows and works similarly to downloading apps on a mobile phone. To use it, you'll need to create an Apple ID, which serves a similar purpose to a Microsoft account. The second way is by downloading applications directly from the web. In this case, you might encounter two common file extensions, PKG and DMG. The PKG format is similar to the MSI extension in Windows. It's a standard installer that you simply run to install the application. The DMG format is like an ISO file, a virtual disk that you need to mount and manually copy the application from it. This is usually done by dragging the app icon to the applications folder. Keep in mind that running a program directly from the DMG file by double-clicking it will not install it on your system. Instead, the app will reset after each restart or if you eject the virtual media. While macOS is generally stable, apps can become unresponsive from time to time, so you might need to force quit them. The Task Manager equivalent on macOS is called Activity Monitor, which you can access through the Launchpad or Spotlight search. When opened, it displays a list of all currently running processes. You can sort them by CPU, memory, energy, network usage, or search for a specific process by name. Similar to Windows, to quit an application, select it and press the stop button at the top. If you prefer using keyboard shortcuts, you can press Command, Option and Escape to open Force Quit utility, where you can quickly close unresponsive apps. However, there is no default keyboard shortcut for opening the complete Activity Monitor app, so the easiest way to launch it is through the Spotlight search. And one last note, despite common belief, you will still need to restart your computer occasionally to prevent issues and slow down. Just make sure you uncheck the Reopen Windows option. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like it and subscribe to watch more similar content.